still drinking.
So my name is Keith Ellison. I'm the Deputy Chair of the Democratic Party, and I am joined by an awesome panel today. Let's kick it off with our leader of political engagement, Amanda Lierman. How you doing today?
I'm great. It's a little early, but I'm great.
Yeah. And Quentin, thanks for being here.
Of course, thank you all for having me.
And the world famous Waikinya Clanton. How you doing?
Only in my dreams and my world famous. So, thank you so much, Keith.
And in your mama's dreams.
Right. And everyone else that does hashtag Waikinya.
But you know that's good because, you know, it really, when you talk about Black History Month, which it is right now,
yes,
really so much of it is connected to that family thing. You know, it is your mother, your father, your grandparents, your great grandparents. I tell you, when I think of Black History Month today, I think of the fact that African people brought here 1619, Jamestown, Virginia, maintaining the state of servitude, involuntarily, also known as
slavery,
till 1865, almost 250 years, which is, you know, more than half of American history. Then Jim Crow for another 100 years. Yeah. We've only had about 70 years of anything other than government-sanctioned suppression of African American life. Yeah. And I'm not talking about some individual racist dude. I'm talking about the government saying you people cannot do your life. I mean, what do y'all think of when you think of Black History Month?
I'll take the first stab at it. I actually think about the opportunity to create history now, like in this moment,
That's
right?
Exciting.
Like, so for me, it is about honoring those who came before me, but also understanding my responsibility in this moment to do something extraordinary for ordinary people, right? So when we talk about, you know, what is legacy and what does it mean, like I often tell people, like in my 20s, it was about creating something for my grandkids to take advantage of, right? Like, and it's kind of amazing because I'm just 32. So like, and now that I'm in my right, I'm still young and fabulous. But in my 30s, it's really about what am I doing now for my children that have yet to come to this earth? Like, how am I working now to make it a better place so when they come here, they don't get to experience some of the things that I had to, or my parents had to, or my grandparents had to. So that's what Black History Month is for me.
You know, it's an interesting thing, Quentin. You spend a lot of your time trying to improve and strengthen the Black voter, and that's kind of what you're dedicated to, and we want to hear more about that. But for so much of Black history, American history, there was no such thing as a Black voter, or in very limited occasions. How does that make you? How does that hit you?
Yeah,
that you're doing something that for your grandfather may have been absolutely impossible, probably illegal
and radical. You know, well, I think it's really important first that, like, you know, I think the previous question around what does Black history mean, you know, to me, I think it really is about continuity, and the legacy of our people, you know, did not start with slavery, right? And so we do want to recognize that piece. No, of course, but at the same time, if you look at every major kind of moment in our country's history, whether it was, you know, the abolition of slavery, you know, Black folks understood that there was power in government, power in policy, power in making their voices heard. And so we saw a wave of African Americans elected to public office right after the Civil War, right? Unfortunately, Jim Crow and the riots happened, and so we lost that kind of wave of political activism for another 100 years, as you mentioned. But again, right after the Voting Rights Act, we saw a huge wave of Black voters kind of coming into the process, Black candidates being elected. And I think another big moment was the election of Barack Obama. And what we have seen in the past 8 years, and even now,
Thank you, Amanda.
In 2018, you know, we have a historic number of Black candidates running in 2018. And so for me, this whole thing is about continuity. How do we continue our legacy when we are presented with these moments to
and doing
engage?
more?
Exactly.
It's like making it. I think Black History Month is always a good time just of reflection. It is definitely an opportunity to sort of internalize the past, remember the past, celebrate the past, but also accept your responsibility in the future and the role that you play in the present, right? I have a 6-month-old daughter now, and it just is like, Bell for president. No, but I think that has totally changed the way that I think about it too. Just in like the responsibility I have as a mom, as her mom, as a Black mom raising a Black daughter. I want her to be connected to her history, and that's everyone from Michelle Obama to MLK to even
Amanda Brown Lierman.
Yeah, it's like I want her to feel grounded in that history, and I feel like you can sort of get lost and caught up in the world that we live in right now, and sort of there's an opportunity for you to be disconnected from that. And so I feel the pressure of making sure that she is connected to that, and just,
a lot of responsibility.
Yeah, but it's, I want her to be connected to it, and so it has taken on a new meaning.
Well, hey everybody, we're here at DIMS Live, and if you want to join what we're doing, you can text the word join, JOIN, to 43367. You want to know what the Democratic Party's up to? 43367, text the word join. Mm-hmm. Now, Amanda Brown Lierman, here's an interesting thing. You are a leader in the Democratic Party, the Democratic National Committee. You're a political director. You do a really important job. You look at the whole country and figure out where we're going to really throw in hard and what are we going to do. And you've been pretty successful, but about 36 state legislative seats and more.
Yeah.
But
Did you know that also 23 of the 36 are women?
Yes.
What?
Yes.
And 19 of those flipped seats, so it's women that are now in seats that men previously held.
Well, all right. But the Democratic Party of maybe 80, 70 years ago was really two parties. It was a racist party in the South, and in the North it was different. I'm come from Minneapolis, and I can tell you that in 1948, Hubert H. Humphrey went to the Democratic National Convention in Philadelphia and said, we're going to walk out of the dark shadow of states' rights into the bright sunshine of human rights. And then the Southern Democrats walked out of the convention, walked into the Dixiecrats, and then walked into the Republican Party. But you're now a leader in this institution that used to have that legacy. What does that mean to you?
A lot. Again, that's sort of the personal responsibility, making sure that our party does work for and stand for and fight for the values of the diversity of the voting population, right? And I think in this role, I will also say I took this role knowing that was the responsibility. And I sort of accept that as a challenge, that we have to do more. We have to challenge the party to do more. When it comes to base engagement, we cannot forget that Black women continue and keep saving us in all of these elections, right? And our resources and our investments
do anything
should
special in Alabama?
This one right here.
Does anybody want to elaborate on this issue?
We've got a few of the amazing.
I'd say 98% is pretty good.
It's almost perfect, just like Black women. So I just
more snaps.
Right, more snaps. We did, and the beautiful thing about Alabama, we talk about how Black women turned out and we voted in record numbers, as we always do, but I want to really uplift some of the women who were on the ground that you didn't see, but they were moving things. Like our Southern Regional Director here at the DNC, Jonette Wartell, she commanded us. We were a part of the troops, so she really empowered me to be able to do what I needed to do and talk to who I needed to talk to on the ground. We had some fabulous women like Maya Cantrell out of our mobilizing and digital department, who stood up texting programs, and we turned out folks. The beautiful thing about Black folks is that we know we can always reach you on your phone.
So we sent over 1 million text messages.
Over
in Alabama.
1 million texts in Alabama, and you saw the results. And I was also really proud that there were other groups that we couldn't directly coordinate with, but that we knew that there was work being done on the ground, and all we could do is figure out where we filled in the gaps. We were there way before people knew we were there. And in the South, as you mentioned before, it's a certain sensitivity that comes with political engagement in the South, and folks really want to know that they command the stage, and I being from Mississippi, understand that, and that was really a part of the strategy that we employed when we went into Alabama. We went in early, we engaged with folks often, we invested in mail programs, we put money on the street, and anybody who knows anything about political organizing and campaign, you can't turn out Black folks without money on the street, and that's just how it is, because for most folks, this is their work, this is their job, we're feeling income disparities in places like Alabama. Folks don't even know how they're going to feed their kids.
Right.
And so for us, it was really, for me in particular, I was really connected to that because that's important for me. I know those people.
And I think the conversation within this building about how to direct the strategy, right? It was well informed by those voices, by those leaders,
You mean
by
we
the
listened?
voters on the ground.
We listened.
Oh boy, listening.
And
What a
and
concept.
we listened to Congressman Sewell, who helped us figure out where the gaps were on the ground, helped us identify that. And, we had folks on the ground that were talking to the local leaders, talking to young people, going to churches, listening, and then putting the resources into those communities.
And we
Lovely.
hired folks from that community, right? Like that was the
so
most
wait a minute,
important thing
Waikinya.
we
So
did.
we didn't load up a bus full of kids from Georgetown and drive them all the way to Alabama to tell everybody in
No.
Alabama what they need to be doing?
No.
That was not the strategy,
That
right?
is not how you make good soup. So, the other thing about that, Congresswoman Sewell was amazing. She was
awesome.
amazing
She's
to
awesome.
us. I mean, she welcomed us in. We were family. She said, whatever you need, and that was helpful. It's really hard. And it's a lesson in manners, for real. Like, you can't go into someone's home or their backyard
Come on.
and not tell them you're on your way.
Come
So,
on.
and not show up, but tell them you're on your way so they can prepare for you. And that's
Right.
what happened. We had some incredible folks on the ground, like a lot of the state reps, like Laura Hall and Wonderland Gavan and Marika Coleman, Anthony Daniels, local commissioners, like it was, and our DNC members. Like, I really had to give it up to the Alabama DNC Black Caucus because those folks, when we called on Janet May, she mobilized folks for us in Montgomery.
Yeah.
Same thing with Reverend Joe Reed, Dr. Joe Reed. Like, we had folks who were really, really committed to helping us do this work, and we did it together. We can't take credit for that. We have to take it together.
Quentin, let me just ask you this. So, because black women and men mobilized in Alabama, Alabamians of all colors were able to avoid Roy Moore, who was dangerous to everyone.
The world.
The whole world.
I mean, and actually was able to get in a pretty good candidate. Doug Jones, who has this tremendous legacy of holding terrorists accountable who murdered 4 little girls. I mean, what about black political activism as a net benefit to all Americans of all colors? I mean, I think that so often when I think of African American political participation, I think of how that contribution has really made the whole country a better place.
Of course,
Yeah.
of course.
You wanna elaborate on that a
No,
little
of course. And I think, one thing I also want to bring into the space is that black people have always thought about this work as, permanent interests and not permanent friends, right?
Yeah.
And so when I think about Alabama, I think about what's going to happen this year in 2018. Black folks are sophisticated. Like we know what is on the line with our votes,
Sure.
and so I'm really excited about what we're going to see this year. When I think about the power of Alabama, to Waikinya's point, this is what our community does, right? And so with the proper investment, with the proper folks at the table, right, who are leading the work around the country, this can be replicated across the country. I'm from South Carolina, and I'll never forget working on Barack Obama's primary campaign in 2008. And we built the largest grassroots organizing machine that the state had ever seen, but that helped down ballot, right, with people running for city council and running for mayor, running for state rep. And so if we're going to replicate the success we saw in Alabama, we have to follow those same steps, right? Investing in the ground and the base, investing in people around the country who are doing that work. But that's on the line in 2018.
But I tell you,
it's
I don't
also-
think we need to keep a permanent political organizing structure so
course.
that do you often notice how we kind of like ramp up for the election and we ramp down after the election?
Yeah, like we go to churches in October.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
that's been the strategy. And I think, we accept the challenge that we have to change that strategy because you do have to build permanent relationships. You have to build up the permanent infrastructure, and that takes time. That takes trust, right? We have
Takes
to
cultural shift.
Absolutely. I mean, the nuances of actually organizing in these communities, we have to accept that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
And the
Heather,
other
we
thing-
ready? Oh, I'm sorry.
I just want to jump in on Amanda.
Yeah, yeah.
One of the things that we're doing here at the the DNC is that we're investing in folks like on the ground. So one of the things that Amanda has spearheaded for us was our Organizing Fellows program, where we're looking to invest in folks.
Fellows program.
Yeah, to
Good
get people
program.
50 in all 50 states. We need at least one organizer on the ground, and that's gonna take a whole lot of effort, but also a whole lot of training, and so
And a little bit of money if you want to go to
support
donate, hit the button there.
Democrats.org.
It's going to big hands.
Yeah, no, and it really is. And I think some of the things that, one of the things that under Amanda's leadership we've been able to do is just really craft out a way to make things permanent.
Right.
What we did a couple of years ago was we abandoned our state parties, and we
I
realized
just taught
that
my daughter Belle how to fist pump, by the way.
Well, if she's going to be president, she better know how to
she
do
can
that.
learn how to do it now. Start her early. One of the things that, as I was saying, that we feel like is necessary is that we abandoned those parties, and now we have to go back and figure out how we rebuild that, right? And keep it constant, right? We shouldn't have to, figure out who's where. We should know.
And that is such a good point. Just the ecosystem at large, right? You're seeing new groups like Collective PAC is playing such an active role now. That doesn't mean that other groups need to go away, or that we all play a role.
Right.
We all have a value.
I was going to say, like,
and
that permanent infrastructure might also be supporting new groups, right?
Absolutely.
And supporting, Black-run organizations. I think that's really important for the ecosystem of us to realize that, look, if folks want to lead, let's invest in them and put them out there.
No doubt. So here's the thing. This is essentially an issue of fighting for a certain value system. And if people want to organize within the Democratic Party, we want you, we need you.
Exactly.
Right.
But if you want to organize within another group, as long as you're fighting for the right things that are going to improve lives for all people, we're good with that.
Exactly.
So Heather, is it time to get some folks in, or what do you think?
Yes, we do. We have some questions. We also think we have some questions from our audience.
Do we have an awesome audience today, or what?
Question, please just raise your hand and I can come to you. And we also have some questions from our audience on social media. John is watching on Facebook, and he first says, Black women in Alabama saved us from Roy Moore. I salute them, and I want to vote for them. How are you working on getting out the vote next fall?
Who wants to grab it?
You should actually start, because you've got some great people in the pipeline.
So we have some amazing candidates running across the country. You can go to our website, collectivepac.org/candidates, and look at some of our endorsements. Folks running from, again, Congress, on the state level and the local level. We have some phenomenal opportunities for folks to invest in Black women and Black candidates in 2018. Again, what we know is that when we invest in Black voters and Black candidates, it has a multiplying effect for the things that we care about as a community.
Do you want to lift up any of them? I mean, it's hard
sure.
to pick out people.
Look, again,
if you run that risk.
With my Collective PAC hat on, again, the DNC can't endorse in primaries. We have some.
Thank you.
We have some exciting candidates. Pam Keith running in Florida, 18. London Breed running for mayor of San Francisco. We have Ayanna Pressley just announced she's running for Congress in Massachusetts. Lauren Underwood running for Congress in Illinois. Just an amazing cohort of folks running across the country. Amanda, your family members are running for office in Illinois as well. So again, I think the opportunity that we have in 2018 is historic. And if we don't take advantage of this, we will regret it in the years ahead.
And let me tell you, it's true the DNC cannot endorse in a primary, and that's because everybody running in the primary deserves a fair chance.
Exactly.
And we don't want anybody to be like, oh, well, the insiders hooked up this person and not me.
Right.
No. Everybody's going to have to pull their own cart up to the primary. But the DNC wants to have an inspired, well-trained, well-equipped army for whoever gets out of that primary, that we can hit the ground rolling right away.
Right, and that's the permanent infrastructure work, right? Yeah. And the relationship that we have with you pre-primary, right? Just so that we know who's in the pipeline. I also think we have a responsibility to help with the infrastructure on the ground, but also making sure that the candidates also have access to the appropriate resources so that they're running good campaigns. The Fellows program, we're hoping to feed them into campaigns, right? Sure. So there's a lot of connective tissue there.
And training.
Right, the
Like
training.
if you're a kid, we don't prefer. If you want to get involved in the DNC training and you're thinking about running in a primary, we're not trying to stop you. It's open to anyone.
Right.
But we want people to run. We want women to run. We want people of color to run. We want workers to run. We want people in rural America to run.
Exactly.
Yeah.
By the way,
We want them to run and win.
win
with a W.
But I was going to say this ask this question about rural America. A lot of times when people think rural America, they think white. Is that really true?
No.
No.
I mean,
No.
look. Let's
Negative.
just look in Georgia, where we have a historic opportunity to elect the first black woman governor in Stacey Abrams, right? That vote is not just going to be based in Atlanta, right? Like, Chocolate
Atlanta,
City,
Savannah.
right? But it's going to be in rural Georgia, where there are not only black people, but just people in general who want to be engaged, want to be brought to the table.
Brother, my
Yeah.
family's from Burke County, Georgia.
Wow.
Yeah.
Burke County,
Exactly.
man, and Scriven County.
Yeah.
It's rural,
Right.
Exactly.
and that's rural Georgia.
Right.
But even in not rural Georgia, because I moved there when I moved from New Jersey to Georgia when I was 12 years old, and I literally never knew I was black until I moved to Georgia. Like I didn't have a concept for it until I was in Georgia, and people were like, "Who are you?"
Hey, girl.
Yeah.
You black.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So, other questions, Heather, or anybody from our audience might want to ask something. Yeah, let's get in. We got a killer audience today.
Yes.
Good morning, panel.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Introduce yourself.
My name's Jonay, and I have a question for you.
Yes.
Is it okay if I say? Okay, so my question is this. A lot of the discussion in a Trump presidency is around candidate politics versus policy politics. Some people, they care about certain issues. They care about gun control. They care about health care. And they don't always see the candidates running locally or the candidates running at a federal level reflecting the issues that they care about most. So especially in the younger generation of activists who say, I don't see my issues represented. I don't know if it's important for me to show up at the polls on election day. What would you say is the best way to help have conversations that thread the needle between policy change and candidate politics and getting the right people elected?
That's a great question. Y'all, anybody want to start on
Can I
that
start
one?
with?
Yeah.
No. Okay.
I think that's a really critical question, right? Is like people feeling impact from their vote, and not in 8 years, like immediately. And if we don't figure out as a party, as folks working with candidates, putting my own self on the line here, how to make that happen, then we're going to be in trouble, right? Especially with young black voters. So when we talk about criminal justice reform, the thing that I have noticed with President Trump is that during the campaign, he made a lot of promises, but he's doing his best to make sure people feel his actions, for good and bad, right? Whether you are flying into this country during his first days in office, you're going to feel the impact of what he fought about and campaigned for. We got to do the same thing on our side. And I don't know what that looks like in, real day-to-day policy each and every time, but it has to happen in 2018 if we're going to continue to take back our country from the folks who've hijacked it at this moment.
Jonay, let me tell you. So I would say to any young person, African Americans, anyone, if you have an issue that you're burning for and you have a strong passion for, don't wait till Don't wait till election day.
Right.
Get way in front of it. Get with some people you agree with. Get yourself some questionnaires. Don't make them too long. and send them to these candidates and say, if you want our group to support you, you got to be down on this.
Yeah.
And that is the way you make an issue, an election issue, a candidate issue.
Right.
Don't wait till election to be like, oh, well, he didn't vote or she didn't stand for this, so I'm not voting. Get in front of it and look, it's February, it's Black History Month, 2018. Now is the time to make those candidates take a position on the things you care about.
It's also, you have to hold them accountable once they're in office,
for
too.
sure. Yeah.
But I
So
think
true.
one of the interesting things about this moment and sort of disconnecting it from the federal level even and disconnecting it from President Trump is the candidates that are winning right now are winning on local issues, right?
Right.
Like they are winning because you can go to school in Kansas for only 4 days a week right now.
Incredible.
It's ridiculous.
Incredible.
And so I think it's super important to do the pipeline to understand the sort of down ballot opportunities, because the mayors are the ones that are making decisions at the local level that you feel the impact of,
City
right?
council members,
the city council members, like those are folks that are playing a critical role in your day-to-day life in a way that even President Trump isn't, right? So having mayors like Mayor Lyles or Mayor
Lyles, Charlotte,
amazing, right? But
North
like
Carolina,
having those
baby.
women in charge, having those black women in charge, I think that hopefully the ripple effect of that and the impact that those voters and young people across the country will feel is important.
Well, I just want to point to an example that we had in New Jersey. So I'm most currently known for my work in Alabama, but I also did some work in New Jersey.
Well,
and
you just doing
Virginia.
it all over. I mean, we can't even keep up with Waikinya, man. Waikinya's like getting it done everywhere.
But I want to really uplift the women, the black women of New Jersey, because they formed very early, along with Sheila Oliver, who's now the lieutenant governor of New Jersey. That's a big win for us. They all formed a group of about 20 women, and they said, this is what we want. Yeah. And they went in on it. This is what we want. They talked to the candidates. They made a decision, and then they formed African American Women for Phil Murphy. Out of that group, they got all type of policy put a part of his platform early. So it became a priority for them early. You gotta get in there. You can't just sit around here and choose arbitrarily a candidate without having some sense of accountability for them in the end. They not only got a significant policy change around, I think it was family medical leave, but they also got Sheila Oliver appointed as his lieutenant governor. And that's some real black political power. That's some black woman political power. And that's how you really implement things, right? You can't just sit here and Shirley Chisholm is like one of my sheroes. Well, she's not like she is one of my sheroes. And one of her most famous quotes to me, and most prominent one for me, is that you don't make progress by sitting on the sidelines whimpering and complaining. You make progress by implementing ideas. You have to take your ideas and put them into action. So your point, get with people who agree with you, even some that don't agree with you, so you can have a balanced conversation. So when you present something to someone, elected official or otherwise, or party, you know, you have balance, and you then add a different lens to it. And you have to do the same thing with your elected officials. One of the things that we're doing, Quentin and I
that's
are
what
working
Black
on,
History Month means, right? It's do something.
It's literally do something. But Quentin and I are working on this project with a couple of other young, amazing people called the Black Millennial Political Convention. That's going to be held here in April.
Exciting.
And one of the things that we're training young black millennials on is racial equity, and how to go, when we go to the Hill, actually add a racial equity lens to legislation. So when we go talk to you, Keith, we're not talking about policy that's already on the table. We're talking about new policy. And even some of it hadn't been decided on, right? Making sure that you all are thinking about how this will affect people across culture and race and social, economic, you know,
and
status.
Policy doesn't affect everybody the same way.
It doesn't. It doesn't.
You know, on this score, and I thank you for raising it. We are Democrats in this table. We're proud to be Democrats. We believe in the Democratic Party. But, you know, the truth is there's a lot of African Americans who would say, you know, we think the Democratic Party has not always given us our due in terms of our contribution to the Democratic Party. What do you say to folks who say, you know, we kind of sometimes feel the Democratic Party took us for granted? What do y'all say about that?
I say it's true. We did.
Well,
we absolutely
do.
And the first step about problem solving is that you have to be honest, right? You can't address something trying to skirt it under the table. You got to say, yes, we failed you in the past, but we're changing. And I think one of the things I'm so happy to be here under the leadership of Chairman Tom Perez is that he had a vision when he came into this place, right? And it was that we're going to craft a new DNC and we're going to prioritize people over politics. And that has made the difference. We've seen it in elections. You know, even the work that you're doing with our Winning with Partners tour, that's significant for us. We're prioritizing people, and that's what the new DNC really is. It is changing the way that we engage with people, we talk to people, we invest in people. And it's coming from a people perspective.
We was in Ferguson last weekend talking about wage stuff, you know, because the Republicans in the Missouri State Legislature preempted St. Louis's increase in the minimum wage. Right. When then we went to a group of black women who were they had black men there, they had white men and white women there, but it was led by black women. striking because they were home health care workers and they were not getting paid right, and they were striking because in the cold, it must have been 17 degrees outside. But this is being involved in people's lives, just being present in a way that
change isn't coming.
And look, right, like, so I run a PAC, and part of the reason why we started the collective was a response to not just the DNC, right, but just the complete like ecosystem of politics and how we not eliminate, but like there are tons of barriers for black candidates to run for office and to win. Tons of barriers for black voters to engage in the process, right? And so while I do think the changes the DNC are making are amazing and need to continue, there's also an opportunity for folks to do your own thing, right? So, you know, the idea that you can't organize in your own community without having the Democratic Party behind you is not true. Like, we can do this.
Quentin, that's part of the new Democratic Party.
No, exactly.
Where we say,
look, do your own thing.
If you believe in fair housing,
Exactly,
equal rights,
exactly.
you want to fight mass incarceration, you want to make sure the police and the community got a good relationship instead of something else.
Right.
You're sick of these mass shootings.
Exactly.
Get involved.
Right.
Yeah.
We actually want to work in complement with
Exactly.
you.
That's right.
And so there ain't no thing about how
Because we share the same values.
Exactly. And like,
That's-
so my answer to your question is
Sure.
stop with the excuses. This is Black History Month, right? Like, look at the legacy that we all are a part of. And whether that's been inside political parties or not, like, change is on us. And if we're gonna, you know, complain and like and be frustrated, we gotta, you know, put our money in and our time and energy and everything where our mouths
But I
are.
do think the Democratic Party has to earn the trust of people every day.
Oh, yeah, of course,
Every day.
of
We need to
course.
be figuring out why should these people trust us?
Right.
We should be trying to make sure that they do every day.
Which is also why conversations like this are so important, right? Bringing people into the mix, giving people an opportunity to engage with us as well. Seeing these faces around the table is very different, right?
Sure.
And I think that means a lot to people. It resonates with people, and we need to do more of stuff like this.
Well, we're going to do one more question from our rocking audience.
We do. We have
Come
one
on this lovely Thursday morning.
Thank you very much. Good morning. My name is Adjoa Butwi Asamoah.
All right, let's hear from Adjoa.
Thank you
you,
for the
Adjoa.
acknowledgement of my name. But I want to acknowledge the shift that I see happening here in the DNC. And Waikinya, you mentioned the fact that we now have a black woman who's a lieutenant governor, and we also have another black lieutenant governor in Virginia. Quentin, I noticed that the collective PAC was very instrumental in getting Justin Fairfax's name out there. So my question to the entire panel is, what needs to happen? What's the investment that needs to be made in organizations like the collective PAC so that we can continue to see more equitable representation up and down ballots?
How do we sustain? Man, that's a great question, Adjoa. What do y'all think?
No, look, this is an amazing question, because the one thing we haven't talked about today is Citizens United and the influence of money in politics, right? And so when we look at what it costs to run a successful congressional campaign, it's around $1.5 million on average, right? And so the fact that a lot of us, I don't have that kind of money just like laying around,
Let's be
is
clear,
a problem.
none of us have that kind of money.
Exactly.
We'll actually have that.
And so it's a huge problem that we have to figure out how to get money out of politics. So, you know, whether it's locally at a state level, like figuring out how do we, do public financing of campaigns to allow opportunities for other candidates to have the same kind of opportunity and platform. But I will say, if folks are looking to make a huge difference, get with your friends. I don't care if it's $100 or $1,000. That amount of money can wield huge power in this process.
And Quentin, I want to say you're absolutely right. As a person who's walked down this road, I was not a wealthy person. I was a public defender before I started. I mean, I guess I was a lawyer, but I was not no rich lawyer, right? and so what I did is I just went to the people who the community I've been serving for 20 years and said, would y'all support my campaign? And them 10s and them 20s came in and it worked out. But here's the thing that really worked out even more than that. We didn't need as much money because we had a grassroots campaign.
Right.
We didn't have a TV campaign. I wasn't trying to get like 13 points on a mass market television. I know what I was trying to do is get some canvassers, some street money, so they could be on the ground helping me canvass, and that is really how we carry the day. So I believe that the way that that candidates who've traditionally not been the preferred candidate can win is by switching to grassroots campaigns and focusing on high volume of low dollar donors. Because let me tell you, man, and I'm just gonna tell on us. This is Republicans and Democrats. One of the problems with politics today is that when most party apparatuses, not just the Democrats, but all, this is a bias we're trying to fix. They say, well, let's get the self-funder. Let's get the person who's already rich.
Right.
Now, of course, if that's what they do, there's a lot of white people cut out of that scenario, and nearly all black people are cut out, unless you're Oprah.
Right.
you know, you're cut out of that. So this money in politics is a problem, but the way to beat it until we change the law is people-oriented grassroots campaign.
And the way to, that's definitely true. There's also, I think we're forgetting part of the conversation, which is the fact that if there is money in politics, we've got to make sure that that money is going into entities, right? So, like,
that's absolutely true.
and that's definitely part of the equation.
And that's based on a demand.
Yeah, and it doesn't, the collective PAC should not be only funded by black people. Justin Fairfax should not be funded by black donors. There's
solely.
So like black candidates certainly benefit white and Latino, Asian,
Yes.
all people.
Exactly.
I mean, and that's a point I was trying to make earlier.
No, exactly.
Who do you find so often fighting for fair housing, fairness in the criminal justice system, fairness with regard to our environment in terms of who bears the brunt of bad water, like Flint.
the people impacted.
The people impacted. So let's get them involved and let's do that. Hey, I think we've pretty much covered. We haven't covered it all by any means, but we've run to the end of our time.
Yeah.
We'll just have to do it again.
We have marching orders.
Yes,
exactly.
yes.
But as I wrap up, I just want to remind everybody that, look, our number, if you want to get involved and stay involved in 2018, text JOIN to 43367. And I also want to urge you all to go to iwillvote.com. I will vote. Willvote.com. Go there and get involved. We need your help. We have a country to save. African Americans are part of leading this thing, man. And you can be a very impactful person in this moment if you do. Any final comments, you guys?
I just want to just really encourage folks to get involved and stay involved. It's super important for us. I mean, there's a lot of work to be done, and we're moving on a lot of things, particularly our I Will Vote, thank you Keith for the plugs, program, which is going to allow us to do some work around voter commitment, voter registration, voter participation, as well as voter protection. And so that's really, really big for black folks. We have an amazing...
We got to do a show on voter protection.
Listen, I'm ready. Because, it's something that I think we don't talk about as much as we should, and we need to prioritize that. The conversation around the Voting Rights Act has really trickled down, and I think it's because of the nature of the climate that we're in, but we have to remain vigilant in the work that we're doing around that.
Thank you. Hey, Quentin?
Final thoughts. We are the change that we seek. And so don't look for somebody to come save you. Don't look for the party to save you. Get involved, be a part of it. You are that change that you want to seek.
And when they go low, let's go to the polls.